ship.
In the frigid depths of the North Atlantic, where light has not penetrated for over a century, lies the most...
Experts have come up with something really intriguing and exciting about the whole Titanic mystery that will shock you. This might be the part you never knew about. What did they discover? The old camera reveals hidden truth.
A digital scan created from more than 700,000 underwater images now shows us the complete wreck. The immense bow lying upright on the seafloor, almost as if it was continuing its voyage. But 600 meters away is the stern, a heap of mangled metal, revealing the violence as the ship...
Someone, maybe a traveler or worker, owned the old camera when they were on Titanic. After 110 years, scientists have found this camera. It has glimpses from the real time that was never seen before. Scientists took their time to open it. What would the camera show? How will Titanic's last moments come out to be? From dead children's shoes to people screaming, the camera screams reality. Let's find out what it looks like. The broken Titanic is a long way below the surface of the cold, dark Atlantic Ocean, where no light can reach. It's been lying there rusty and still for over 100 years. In 2023, some experts went to look at the ship before it went away for good. They used robots to look around the area full of broken plates, bags, and metal. They found some shiny thing in the mud one day. It wasn't close to the ship's back. Scientists saw that it was a small square thing when the robots got closer. They turned on bright lights, but then there was a surprise, and it was a camera. An old camera from 1912 that people used to take pictures of their families. It was on the Titanic when it went down. Old cams can't last very long underwater. Metal can't stand salt water. Little things in the water tear up leather and paper. But this camera was still whole. The film, the part that holds photos, was rusty and stuck inside. They might be able to see shots of people, the ship, and maybe even the iceberg from the last day of the Titanic's life if they could save the film. It was hard to get the camera out. It was hard for the robots to move slowly and brush off the dirt without breaking it. When they finally got it off, a cloud of mud was moving around. They put the camera in cold water on their ship to keep it safe. They were both scared and excited. It was more than just a camera. It had an album of old secret stories. Over the years, the Titanic has given us a lot, but this is the first time it has given us something like this. People worked day and night to save the film that was pulled from the camera in a lab. The room was very quiet. The only sounds were the soft whirring of chemicals and the team's stressed breaths. Images slowly started to show up, at first very faint, like whispers, and then more clear. Everyone was shocked watching the first picture. It showed a fancy hallway inside the Titanic. The wood was shiny and there was a chandelier that sparkled. A man in a nice suit stood next to a set of stairs. The team knew who he was from old records. Thomas Leland was his name. He was a rich man who came on the ship with his family. People who were still alive said he helped women and children get into lifeboats before he disappeared. No one ever found his body. In the second picture, a rowboat was being lowered into the dark water. Inside there were only a few people, mostly women whose faces were white with fear. The boat had about half of its people on board. Some rules said women and children should be saved first, but there was so much chaos that many boats left without being full. In the picture, a crew member stood still with his arm raised as if he were yelling. Behind him, the Black Sea went on and on. It was worse in the third picture. A small leather shoe, the kind a kid would wear, was next to a deck chair. A broken doll was next to it. The team's hearts hurt when they saw the simple picture. It was more than just history. This was the fear of a child stuck in time. The mood got worse as more pictures came in. The fourth picture was fuzzy and looked like someone was running. It showed black water rushing up a grand staircase, which was the same one from the first picture. Next, the chandelier hung off to the side, the flood had ripped up the rugs, the person with the camera was deep inside the ship that was sinking, taking pictures as people ran away. The fifth picture was a mess. Even though it was dark and there were light streaks, there was a group of people grouped together in the middle. A woman held a child, a man with wide empty eyes held onto a lifebelt. Their yells were frozen by the flash of the camera. The team was broken by the last two pictures. Thomas Leland, the man from the first picture, was shown again in the sixth picture. This time, he was wet, and his hair was stuck to his face. He screamed and held onto a railing, reaching for the camera with his hand, but this didn't make sense. People who lived there said Thomas stayed on deck to help other people. How did he get to be deep inside the ship that was flooded just before it sank? The worst picture was the last one. There is only one beam of light shining through the total darkness. It took a moment to figure out that the camera was being held underwater. It was like a lamp going out into the dark. The last picture was taken as the Titanic dragged the camera and the person holding it to the bottom of the ocean. The group was quiet. It wasn't just pictures, they were a timer for death. With each picture, they got closer to the end of the ship's life. They thought they were watching someone take their last desperate breaths. The pictures made everyone puzzled. How could Thomas Leland, who looked rich in the first picture, show up later soaked and screaming inside the sinking ship? People who lived there said he stayed on deck to help other people. But the pictures showed that he was stuck deep below, and it was hard for historians. A piece of metal from a crew lantern got caught in the camera's strap. Records were found for a young crew member named Samuel Harding who carried these lanterns. In times of trouble, it was his job to light the way. His body was found after the ship sank, with his light still in his hand. People who saw him said he ran toward the decks that were flooding and yelled for people to get out. It made sense now. It was Samuel's camera, not Thomas's. To light the way, he had been taking pictures. The team saw features when they looked more closely. Thomas's suit was dry in the first picture. Later pictures showed that it was wet. This meant that hours had passed. It's possible that Thomas gave Samuel the camera when things got crazy. Thomas could have taken the first picture early and yelled, "Show the world what's going on," as he gave it to Samuel. Samuel quickly grabbed the camera, put it over his shoulder, and kept working. The last pictures showed Samuel's last moments. Survivors saw him with his lantern on near the grand staircase as the ship shook. But the last picture, which is all black except for one light beam, shows his lantern sinking. Samuel kept taking pictures until he was sucked under by the water. The team was very sad about this. Samuel was way more than just a name. He was a young man doing his job, which was to write down what the hell was like for him. He was buried under the camera that was wielded to his lantern. All of the pictures were locked up. People in the know said they were too upsetting and real for the public to see. Too many private and frightening moments were shown, like the last breaths of long dead people, whose fear was etched into every frame. But lies don't stay hidden for long. Online, in the back rooms of museums and whispered talks between historians, word got out that the camera had been found. People started calling it the ghost camera because they thought the pictures weren't real. They were portals to the future that stuck the Titanic's victims in a never-ending loop of their last moments. What is your horror story from Titanic? Tell us in the comments below. If you enjoyed watching the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.